Good morning, everyone. Today is July 10, 2025. The time is 10:06 a.m. This is the zoning violation hearing on zoning violation citation PZC 24-0097, County of Coconino versus the Church of Common Good, taking place by Zoom, phone, and in person at Thomas Auditorium. This hearing is being held pursuant to the Coconino County Zoning Ordinance 5.14. I am in receipt of the county's exhibits 1, 1A through L, 2, 2A through 2I, 3, 3A and 3B, 4, 5, 6, 6A through 6D, 7, 7A through 7G, 8, 9, 10, and 11.
Are they 8x10 color photos with the date and everything written on the back in Sharpie?
You got it. That's most of the exhibits.
Officer Shelby did his job. Okay.
Okay. And Mr. Stevens, just be careful to try not to talk over me because we're on the record, and so we're trying to capture every word that's spoken.
Understood completely.
But I do appreciate you confirming those exhibits.
I've never seen these exhibits. I just assume they're 8x10 color photos with things written in the back.
Okay.
I assume that's what they are. I've never seen them. I'll be honest with you. We as a church just purchased this property, and I think that this guy has a problem with something that might have happened before we owned the property.
Okay, Mr. Stevens.
That's what he said.
Mr. Stevens, hold on 1 minute, because you're going to have the opportunity to give sworn testimony, and you'll be able to tell me all the problems you think there are with this case. Okay.
That's excellent. Absolutely. You just move forward with the procedures.
Will do, and then I'll let you know when it's your turn. Okay.
Super.
You're going to have a full opportunity to not just speak, but give me sworn testimony. So I'll be able to consider your side of the story of this as well in just a few minutes.
Yeah, you were elected by the people, right?
No, I'm appointed by the county.
Gotcha. Appointed by the county commissioners or something?
Yes.
Okay. So you're an attorney then?
Yes, okay. I am. So just hold tight, okay? Hold tight. I'm laying out some things so that we have it on the record. So we've got a nice clean record of this in case you want to appeal, for example. If I rule against you and you want to appeal, you're going to want to have a nice clean record of everything that is said. So just hold tight and let me get through my little spiel here, and then eventually it will be your turn.
Awesome.
All right?
Yep.
So just to keep going, I've explained the exhibits that I have. I also want to state that I have not received a witness list from the county, so therefore I assume that only the zoning inspector, Mark Stento, will be testifying for the county. I'm not in receipt of any exhibits or witness lists for the respondent, and therefore at my discretion, any exhibits or testimony of witnesses other than the respondent itself will not be admitted or considered. Okay, respondent has appeared and is here today, and so we will be taking sworn testimony from both the county and from the respondent, Mr. Stevens. And there is a procedure that will follow. I'm just going to take a minute to explain that procedure so that everyone is aware of it.
Got to know the rules.
I will allow a few minutes for Mr. Stento to make an opening statement. I will allow a few minutes for Mr. Stevens to make an opening statement. The opening statement is not sworn testimony, so it is not evidence. It's just an opportunity to take a few minutes to describe to me what you think you're going to prove today. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a few minutes, a very concise statement explaining what you think you're going to prove in the hearing.
Certainly.
Once the opening statements are done, the county will have an opportunity to testify. So Mr. Stento will give me sworn testimony. Mr. Stevens, you'll have an opportunity to ask Mr. Stento questions. That's called cross-examination. And I can ask questions. When Mr. Stento is all done, Mr. Stevens, you will have an opportunity to give me your testimony under oath. Mr. Stento will then have an opportunity to ask you questions, and I might ask you questions. And then each of you will have an opportunity to give a closing statement. That's not evidence, it's just an opportunity to give me a little summary of what you think you proved, okay? Then the ball will be in my court,
yes.
and I will have 10 days to issue a decision, okay?
Okay.
All right, so Mr. Stento, are you ready to proceed?
I am.
Mr. Stevens, are you ready to proceed?
I have never been served with any paperwork, so I'm here because if I weren't here, yes, sure.
Okay, you'll have an opportunity to tell me what you were, that you weren't served or you were served. You'll have an opportunity to tell me all of that.
I'm sure I'll have a very scripted opportunity to tell you a lot of things. Go ahead.
All right, very good. I look forward to your sworn testimony in just a few minutes when Mr.
Super.
Stento is done with his turn.
Awesome.
All right, Mr. Stento, please raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you are about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, Mr. Stento, would you like to give an opening statement, or would you like to proceed directly to your testimony?
I'd like to provide an opening statement.
Okay, please do. And because we're sort of on the phone and by Zoom, will you please speak slowly?
I will. I'll speak slowly and clearly. Are you ready for me to proceed?
Yes, please do.
Okay. I would like to bring to the attention of the hearing officer case PZC 240097 for the property address 47775 BNSF RR Frontage Road, located in Winslow, Arizona 86047, parcel ID 406-85018, located within Coconino County in Zone G, General Residential. The lot size is 56.6 acres. The property is currently owned by the Church of Common Good Domestic Nonprofit Corporation. The director of the corporation is Michelle Callison. Pursuant to the Arizona Corporation Commission, principal officers of the church include Andrew Stevens, Tanya Malley, Ryan Kirby, Sarah Bean, Virginia Benzon, Beth Contreras, Tina Kuo, Brian Baker, Gordon Priestborn, Christine Flora, Andrew Howie, and Robert Wrigley. This information is shown in the Corporation Commission's documentation for the Church of Common Good depicted in Exhibit 10. Details for the parcel as shown in Coconino County GIS are depicted in County Exhibit 1A. And if it's not too early, Mr. Brown, I'd like to request both of those exhibits admitted into evidence.
It is a little bit early because hold on,
that.
Mr. Stevens. Hold on, Mr. Stevens.
Okay.
It's a little early because I believe you're just in your opening statement as opposed to your sworn testimony.
Certainly. Per their own admission, the Church of God and Common Good's intended use of 4775 BNSF is to build a spiritual retreat, a place where their constituents can camp and live off the grid, and to do this regardless of local law. Presumably, based on their alleged tax exempt status, the church believes their users should be able to use the land in any manner they want, despite the rules and laws implemented by the state and county that govern construction, occupancy, and sanitation on private property. Since the inception of the county's case, church members have implemented multiple improvised structures that continue to occupy recreational vehicles and travel trailers at the property, often at their own peril. In 2024, a near fatality of an alleged church member due to exposure occurred at the property and was documented by the Coconino County Sheriff's Office. The location is void of any lawful dwellings, utilities, or wastewater facilities, and the church's reckless approach to unlawful homesteading, despite numerous warnings from the county, continues to endanger those it sends to the property. And that concludes the county's opening statement.
All right. Why don't you proceed then with your sworn testimony? You are under oath. And again, if I could just ask you, would you, Mr. Stevens, would you like to give your opening statement now or when it's your turn?
I think it would be best now, as Mark Stento has said, some things are very opinionated and also incorrect. So can I go ahead and make an opening statement now?
Sure. Just remember, keep keep it to a few minutes, keep it concise, and just
Sure.
remember, this isn't your evidence. It's just what you think you're going to be able to show through your evidence.
Sure.
All right, go right ahead, sir.
All right. So I am a pastor of a church. That church has been in operation since 2013. This church purchased a spiritual retreat. We noticed that many Americans were living in vans and cars, buses, RVs, and they were traveling around the United States on the major intersections or interstates, including I-40. So our ministry wanted to have a place for those people to gather and congregate and hear the testimony, the word of God, and testimony, and do church things. We'll just say church things. There's baptisms, there's all kinds of things. There's a retreat. We had no intention, as the Lord said, to build a building, so to speak, nor so we didn't think we needed any building permits, so to speak. The Mark Stento in the county appears to be trying to restrict the congregation on private property of a religious institution who are congregating for the purposes of religious worship. I'm not sure that the position is that they're too dirty to be a church, or that we don't like the way they gather, or what the position is. But he said that the property was general residential, and that is incorrect. The property is general use. And the master plan for Coconino County clearly says that people in this area want to be left alone. And it was completely correct with that. This church wants nothing to do with the Sadducees and Pharisees in Babylon. We do not want anything to do with you guys. But no complaint was made, because you can't see our property from Coconino County. So no complaint was made by a civilian, and no one was a near-death experience. There was a welfare check done on a woman who was at the beginning stages of dementia from one of our board members who's sitting right here. It was his mother. It was you. I can't have it. I cannot have a witness. So I didn't put you on the list. But he's a board member. His mother was having dementia, and there was a welfare check. Apparently, the sheriff doesn't like driving 50 miles out to check on something within the county and do welfare checks without causing problems. But the church operates as a church, reaching a portion of America that no other church is reaching. And we've been successful in doing so. And for a county to think that they can stop a church from gathering for religious worship purposes on their own property is absurd. And so we intend to fight this with the Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act. And if you look in Colorado case law, there's multiple examples of churches who have had their missionaries come in their RVs and meet. Now, we don't live there. He's just using the word live as if that word can be just used willy-nilly. That is a spiritual retreat. We go to and from, and right now we're in California. We were in Florida for 2 years building our church out there. We're not living there. What he's talking about is the storage of our church vehicles. The ones that are utilized, one of them is actually a storage or a pantry that's for our food, the food bank. Another one is a chicken coop where we get our food at, and this is what he's taking pictures of. But you can't even see it from the county. So my opening statement is that it is discriminatory to against our church to expect us to not practice the doctrines that are set forth by Jesus Christ himself. No, the Son of Man shall have no place to lay his head. Follow me. Those aren't my words. Those are written in red. And for this man to think that he could tell our church how to practice our religion is absurd, insane. And we moved to this country as a people because of a government that tried to do that. I'll be darned if I let this guy come and tell us that we cannot practice our religion the way we've been practicing it for over 10 years. I'm done.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Stevens. I do appreciate your opening statement, and that frames the issues well for me once we get to your sworn testimony. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Mr. Stento, are you prepared to proceed with your sworn testimony?
I am.
Okay, please go ahead. And again, just kind of speak slowly, especially when you're referring to the exhibits.
Certainly, Howard. I would like to request Exhibits 1A and Exhibits 10 admitted into evidence. Exhibit 1A is...
I object.
Hold on
I
one
haven't seen
second,
any
Mr.
of these.
Stevens. Hold on. Hold on, Mr.
Well,
Stevens.
okay.
Hold on.
Yes.
Mr. Stento?
Exhibit 1A is a GIS image of the parcel verifying the size and location of the parcel. And Exhibit 10 is a screenshot of the Arizona Corporation Commission's entry for the Church of Common Good, showing the statutory agent for the Church of Common Good, as well as listing Andrew Stevens as an officer.
Okay, Mr. Stevens, you were going to say something about those exhibits?
Yes, Arizona law requires that any legal paperwork be served upon the statutory agent. While I am an officer within the church, I'm a pastor. I am not a statutory agent, and no one from the code enforcement served anyone. A guy named John pulled up and threw a folder onto a neighboring property. By law, and by duty, I would pick up litter. The man never served anyone. You can't just throw your paperwork on the ground somewhere and call it litter, commit a crime, and then call that service. So that, yes, I have objection to that that evidence.
Mr. Stento, can you please explain to me whether the respondents were served and what they were served with, when and how, and what evidence you have of that?
Certainly, the county initially attempted to contact the statutory agent, Michelle Callison, at a Holbrook address. The county sent the citation notice to appear an admission or denial in a certified mail packet. We do have the certified mail receipt for that. It was not accepted. It was returned to us, returned to sender on 23 June. So we were unable to serve the statutory agent. Code enforcement officer John Cole was wearing a body cam at the time and served Mr. Stevens on the 5th of June directly. The Exhibit 11 is a partial transcript of that body cam footage from Mr. Cole's body cam on that date, showing some of his correspondence with Mr. Stevens. The rest of that body cam footage is available at the hearing officer's request, including video.
What was served on that day?
At that time, the citation, the notice to appear, and the admission or denial of responsibility were served in an envelope to Mr. Stevens.
Now, that's sworn testimony, because I also have body cam footage. So is that sworn testimony he just gave?
Hold on one second, Mr. Stevens. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Okay. Because if you lie on court, that's perjury.
Hold on. Hold on.
Yeah.
Do you remember meeting, Mr. Stevens, do you remember meeting with Mr. Cole on June 5th out at the property?
I do. It was not at the property. Absolutely not. I remember meeting him. Mr. Cole drove to a neighboring property. It's another 40-acre parcel. He refused to drive up to our parcel for some reason. He stopped his truck there. I got onto an e-bike, and I rode the e-bike to the neighboring property down on the road, the BNSF railroad frontage road. And he started speaking with me, and then he threw a folder onto the ground of the neighboring property.
Okay, and did you receive that? If he threw it on the ground, did you pick it up? Did you receive it?
Did I? Well, you're using two different words. You're saying that I received it. No. Someone else on our property went up to it later on that day, about an hour or two later, to see if it was littering, because we will get in trouble if there's litter on the railroad property. There shouldn't be litter anywhere. John shouldn't be committing crimes. That's not something you should do. It's not good for the environment, and it's also not a legal service.
So did you receive the document called Notice to Appear about today's hearing?
Another person in the church apparently received it, because they came and told me we had a hearing today at 10 o'clock. I'm assuming that they picked it up and read it. So that person's not even a board member. That person's the son of a board member. So,
and then they told you about the hearing today?
They told me there was a hearing today. That's all I know in terms of this hearing. I've seen no evidence. I have seen evidence of when the property was owned by another person. There were pictures sent to me. Those pictures did not reflect what the property looks like.
Mr. Stevens, I'm not talking about the pictures yet. We'll get there in a minute.
Okay,
But
got it. Oh, the service.
how about the?
Yes.
Yeah. So you
He
were
threw it
aware.
on the ground, and I was told he threw it on the ground. I was told later that day there's a hearing.
Hold on, Mr. Stevens.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Okay. Go ahead.
You are going to get a fair hearing today, okay? And you're going to have an opportunity. Sure. You're going to have an opportunity to talk, but you can't talk over me, okay?
Certainly.
Have you seen the zoning violation citation, the document that explains what the alleged violations are on the property?
From last year, or something more current?
More current, June of 2025.
I have not seen that. No.
Okay. And Mr. Stento, did Mr. Stevens get your exhibits?
The exhibits were also given to a member of the church. Let me pull up my notes real quick. They were given by Code Enforcement Officer John Cole directly to an individual who identified himself as Nash. On the property, we exited one of the RVs as Mr. Cole walked up to it at 12:35 hours on 2 July. Mr. Cole asked him to give the envelope to Mr. Stevens, the pastor.
Is there a certificate of service or anything that references service of the exhibits, Mr. Stento?
No, sir, there's not.
Okay. And is Mr. Cole going to be testifying today?
Mr. Cole can testify. We do not provide a witness list, but he is available to testify if necessary.
Okay. For now, I'm going to reserve judgment on admitting your exhibits. So, Mr. Stevens, what that means is Mr. Stento can refer to his exhibits, but I have not yet decided whether I'm going to admit them into evidence or not. I'm going to wait until I hear all the testimony, and probably not until I issue my written decision will I decide whether those exhibits are going to come into evidence or not. Okay.
Understood.
Okay. Mr. Stento, so you understand what I'm saying? You can refer to your exhibits, but I'm not going to rule yet on whether they're admitted into evidence.
I understand. To be clear, Mr. Brown, the exhibits were served in person because we did not believe we could serve the statutory agent as they had not accepted previous service. We believe that was intentional avoidance on behalf of the statutory agent. But may I proceed with my testimony?
Yes, please do.
On 4 November 2025, Coconino County Code Enforcement received an email from a Coconino County Sheriff's Office deputy expressing concerns regarding land use and conditions documented at 4775 or 7775 rather, BNSF. For the responding deputy, quote, throughout the property, there are several RVs and vehicles scattered around, at least some appear abandoned. There is a shed that appears to be the only, quote, nice structure that we were told people are living in. There was also a fort-type structure built with railroad ties. The deputy went on to state, quote, this church, referring here to the Church of Common Good, claims they are trying to send more people there as a spiritual retreat. There also appears to be a revolving door of people going in and out. It was probably a matter of days before the female we contacted today died due to exposure and living conditions. Quote, the entire email to Code Enforcement from the Sheriff's Department is documented in Exhibit 1B.
What's your objection, Mr. Stevens?
Well, there's several objections, but the one you just said, a female almost died. That's AJ's mother. That's Andrew's mother, and I could put her on a call right now if you'd like. She's got dementia, but she's nowhere close. Go ahead,
Mr. Stevens. So that's not an objection. That's just that you disagree with Mr. Stento's testimony, and
that's
you're
not a testimony. The sheriff, as a sheriff, it's hearsay. It's hearsay.
The hearsay rules don't apply in this type of administrative hearing. Hearsay rules apply in court. Okay. So, Mr. Stevens, if you disagree with what Mr. Stento is saying, if you think, oh, he's just lying through his teeth, that's not an objection. You'll have a chance to
object because we didn't own the property.
Mr. Stevens, Mr. Stevens, if you continue to talk over me, I'm gonna suspend the hearing, okay? And then you won't have a chance to testify.
Yes,
Please
sir.
don't talk over me.
Yes,
If I rule against you and you want to appeal, you're going to need to have a very clean record. That means we don't talk over each other, okay?
Understood.
So it behooves you not to talk over me, okay? I want to just explain to you. I'm just explaining to you so that you can proceed. If you disagree with Mr. Stento's testimony, you will be able to testify that when it's your turn under oath.
So no objections. Okay, no objections.
No, that's not an objection. An objection would be if you think he's testifying about something that's irrelevant, for example, or if it's repetitious, you could object. Okay.
Well, I object.
But not if you just disagree with the truth of what he's saying.
Okay. You asked me what I objected with. I gave you one portion of it. We did not own the property at the time that he's describing.
Okay, so then you think it's not relevant because it doesn't even pertain to you as the Church of the Common Good. So Mr. Stento, how is November of 2024 relevant to what we're doing here today?
Per both the email from the Sheriff's Department and Mr. Stevens' statement on this hearing just a moment ago, the respondents, one of them, per Mr. Stevens' admission, was the mother of a church member who was sent there by the church, and the email from the county again the Sheriff's Department in Exhibit 1B clearly references the church and people being sent out there on a spiritual retreat. The county alleges these are the same people that are currently in possession of the property, who were perpetrating these same code violations under a different owner, though they still had a legal claim to the property at the time.
Well, here's what we'll do, Mr. Stento. I agree with Mr. Stevens in the sense that the current respondent is the church. There may be overlap in the people but the current respondent is the church. And so I believe the most relevant evidence is going to be things that happened after they purchased the property. But I will note the background. I will note the history and the background of the property usage.
Okay, and per the church's own admission and Mr. Stevens' own admission, they were in the process of purchasing the church at that time. So they did have a financial association with the property. Again, per their own admission, and I think you can ask Mr. Stevens directly for clarification on it.
Well, that's okay. I understand, and I think it shows a pattern of use by the same people. But since our respondent is the church, it really is only relevant once the ownership transferred by that deed that came much later.
I understand. Would you like me to move forward with my testimony only at the point then the initial hearing against JMC Land was vacated, and then the county pursued a new citation and notice to appear against the church, or can I provide testimony inclusive of both JMC Land's ownership and the church's ownership for context?
You can provide whatever testimony you'd like, but my emphasis is going to be on what has occurred after the ownership transferred.
I understand. I'll proceed with my testimony for context from where I was.
Thank you.
Myself and Code Enforcement Officer John Cole responded to the case request after receiving a letter from the Sheriff's Department with an inspection on 5 November 2024. During the initial inspection, we noted at least 5 recreational vehicles, most of which appeared abandoned, several other inoperable vehicles, secondhand materials scattered about, including tires and trash, two railroad tie structures, and a relatively large shed, miscellaneous type building on the property. We spoke with an adult male who identified himself as Tyler at approximately 12:50 hours. Tyler had 3 children with him and was staying in one of the RVs on the property. Tyler stated he'd been promised an acre of land on the parcel by a church in Florida. We served a notice of violation on Tyler, who stated he would notify the church, who was allegedly being carried by property owner JMC Land. The unlawful improvised structures, open storage of secondhand materials, vehicle parts and refuse, unpermitted barn, and abandoned RVs and travel trailers were noted on this initial inspection and were all documented in exhibits 1C through 1L.
Objection.
What's your objection?
He's still talking about 2024.
Well, we've already addressed that issue, and what I ruled is that I will consider the old stuff just as background, historical information about the use, but that I'm going to focus my attention on things that may or may not have occurred after ownership transferred in March of 25.
Okay, well, objection irrelevant. None of those things exist today.
I understand your objection. It's noted. Please proceed, Mr. Stento.
In addition to the personal service of a notice onto the alleged tenant Tyler, code enforcement issued a notice of violation to then owner JMC Land via regular mail, not certified mail, on 6 November 2024. Copy was also sent to Michelle Callison, alleged to be the Church of Common Good, on the same day. This is reflected in Exhibit 1. On 15 November 2024, code enforcement received a voicemail from Joe Chiarello, owner of JMC Land, in response to the notice. I returned the call and spoke with Joe directly. Summarizing the conversation, Joe confirmed JMC Land was carrying the Church of Common Good, and they had contacted them about the violations and would be terminating their contract.
I didn't hear what you said. I didn't hear what you said. What did the person from JMC tell you?
Joe Chiarello, the principal from JMC Land, and I'm summarizing here, confirmed they were carrying the Church of Common Good, and that he had contacted the Church of Common Good about the violations, and he stated he would be terminating their contract.
They were carrying the Church of Common Good? Is that the word you used?
That is correct. That was the word he used. They had a financial arrangement for the church to purchase the property, but that had not occurred yet at that point.
Okay. Go ahead.
A follow-up inspection was performed by Code Enforcement Officer John Cole on 20 November 2024 and documented some cleanup, but still noted at least one person living on the parcel in a recreational vehicle. An email was sent to Joseph Chiarello of JMC Land on 21 November 2024, notifying Joe of ongoing violations. This is shown in Exhibit 2A. This email was successfully delivered to Mr. Chiarello of JMC Land. Multiple inspections, to include December 2024 as well as January and February 2025, documented some minor cleanup on the parcel, but ongoing RV occupancy in the presence of an unpermitted structure, inoperable or unregistered vehicles, secondhand materials, vehicle parts, and refuse. These inspections are documented in Exhibits 2B through 2I. Exhibit 2H specifically depicts the recreational vehicle code enforcement officers observed an individual who identified himself as AJ, believed to be the same AJ Mr. Stevens referred to momentarily ago in his objection, occupying occupying vehicle during multiple inspections. AJ stated he was a member of the church. This is reflected in Exhibits 2B and 2I, AJ's vehicle. Those inspections rather reflected in Exhibits 2B through 2I.
Objection.
The county followed up by
hold on, Mr. Stento. Hold on. Mr. Stevens, what's your objection?
AJ does not own a vehicle.
Not own no vehicle.
Okay, you'll be able to testify that. So you're disagreeing with what Mr. Stento says. So you'll be able to testify about that when it's your turn.
Understood.
Make yourself a note that you want to testify about that, and you'll be able to. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Stento.
The county followed up by issuing a final notice to JMC Land via regular mail on 7 February 2025, documented in Exhibit 2. Subsequent inspections in late February 2025 documented ongoing RV occupancy and the continued presence of inoperable vehicles and secondhand materials, as pictured in Exhibits 3A and 3B, respectively. A citation, notice to appear, and Commissioner denial of responsibility were ultimately issued on 5 March 2025, the JMC land via certified mail and regular mail. This is reflected in Exhibits 3A, 3B, 3, 4, and 5. 3A and 3B, of course, being the inspection pictures. On 13 March 2025, I personally served the citation, notice to appear, and admission denial onto AJ on the property as well. During that time, AJ was observed exiting the recreational vehicle depicted in Exhibits 6A and 6B. AJ stated to me directly he was staying on the property to clean it up. On 17 March 2025, Mr. Chiarello and JMC.
Is AJ the person who signed the admission or denial of responsibility, Exhibit 5?
No, Exhibit 5 was signed by Mr. Chiarello. I will address that in my testimony coming up.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to find that place here.
Sorry about that.
Oh, quite all right. Again, AJ stated he was staying on the property to clean it up. Then on 17 March 2025, Mr. Chiarello, JMC Land, contacted code enforcement via email to inform them that the Church of Common Good would be paying off the property, and on 1 April 2025, ownership would likely change. On 27 March 2025, the admission of responsibility depicted in Exhibit 5 was returned to the county by Joseph Chiarello, JMC Land, showing an admission. Based on the admission provided, an order vacating and rescheduling the hearing to 8 May 2025 was issued to the hearing officer. This is shown, or excuse me, issued by the hearing officer. This was shown here in Exhibit C, 6C rather. On 1 April 2025, Mr. Chiarello provided Coconino County with recorded warranty deed for the property, showing the Church of Common Good taking formal possession. Response to the change in ownership, Coconino County requested and received an order vacating the hearing without prejudice to reestablish the violation proceedings should violations continue rather. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You're good.
Okay. Coconino County requested and received an order vacating the hearing without prejudice to reestablish the violation proceedings should violations continue under the new ownership. This is shown in Exhibits 6D and 6. You flip to those exhibits real quick. And Exhibit 6D is that warranty deed to be clear, and Exhibit 6 is, of course, the order dismissing the case. On 2 April, an applicant submitted a 120-day temporary RV permit for the property on behalf of the church. This permit was never issued due to incomplete payment. It was returned for corrections by Coconino County Planning and Zoning. Based on the submission of the incomplete RV permit and multiple contacts with members of the church during the previous month's investigations, code enforcement opted to provide additional time to the church to make strides toward gaining compliance before re-inspecting and reissuing a citation and notice to appear. Inspections resumed on 22 April 2025, at which point Code Enforcement Officer John Cole noted 1 additional vehicle and 3 people on the property. A follow-up inspection on 28 April documented more activity, including an individual walking into an RV pictured in Exhibit 7A. Secondhand materials, including piles of tires and piles of lumber, were also documented littering the property as shown in Exhibits 7B and 7C. A 14 May inspection depicted in Exhibit 7D showed multiple operable passenger vehicles parked around the allegedly continually occupied RV, as well as a person accessing that RV. I conducted another inspection on the 2nd of June, 2025. During this inspection, I noted a large wall of used tires, at least one inoperable or unregistered vehicle, an abandoned RV, and secondhand materials as depicted in Exhibit 7E. I also noted the same blue and white RV that had been continually documented as occupied, shown in Exhibit 7F, with an operable vehicle parked next to it, indicating likely habitation. I also noted several additional passenger vehicles to the south end of the parcel, as well as 2 travel trailers that were not previously documented on the parcel. A makeshift structure also appeared to be present nearby. The door to one of the travel trailers was open, and from a distance, it appeared a person was moving around inside. These alleged new additions to the parcel are documented in Exhibit 7G. Based on the fact that the activity on the parcel appeared to be increasing, including the addition of more vehicles as well as occupied RVs and travel trailers, a new citation, notice to appear, and admission or denial were drafted after inspection on the 2nd of June. These items were sent via certified mail on 3 June to the statutory agent for the Church of Common Good, listed as Michelle Callison in Holbrook, as depicted in Exhibit 10. The items were sent via certified mail were returned to the county as unclaimed on 23 June 2025. And the county would like to note for the record, the Church of Common Good may not be maintaining a statutory agent in violation of Arizona Revised Statutes 10-501. On 5 June 2025, Code Enforcement Officer John Cole personally served the notice to appear, citation, and admission or denial responsibility on Andrew Stevens while inspecting the property. Andrew appeared to be residing on the property and identified himself as an officer of the church and its pastor during the contact with Mr. Cole, as recorded in Mr. Cole's body cam, which is partially transcribed in Exhibit 11. During this conversation, Andrew also noted AJ, with whom Code Enforcement had previously contacted, or who Code Enforcement had previously contacted regarding violations, was a board member of the church. The Arizona Corporation Commission lists Andrew as an officer of the church, as shown in Exhibit 10. On 7 July 2025, Code Enforcement received a call from Mr. Stevens inquiring about access to the hearing. Mr. Stevens at that time stated he was not available in person and would need to attend remotely. I received an email address from Mr. Stevens at that time. At that time, I did not realize that it was an incorrect email address. I attempted to send Teams information for this hearing to Mr. Stevens and it bounced back. On 8 July, I performed a follow-up inspection on the property and noted the tires previously observed were no longer visible. However, all the recreational vehicles observed on previous visits were still present and visible, one of which was confirmed unlicensed and likely inoperable on previous inspection, and that particular vehicle is shown in Exhibit 1D. Secondhand materials were visible as documented in Exhibit 7G, and the recreational vehicle as documented in Exhibit 7F was occupied during my site visit, and a different passenger vehicle, a 4-door car, was parked outside. I personally observed what appeared to be a child moving about the exterior of the RV, entering it and performing an unidentified task outside. On 9 July, I attempted to call Andrew at the same number he called us from on 7 July to get a correct email address. I also sent Mr. Stevens a text message to that same phone number requesting contact so I could send him the Teams information for the hearing today. Later that same day, Andrew returned my call, provided me with a address that worked, to which I resent the Teams hearing invitation, and it appeared to be delivered. That is an accurate time frame of the initiation of the case to the date of the hearing, and it concludes the county's testimony today.
Okay. Let me ask you a couple questions, Mr. Stento. There seemed to be some disagreement potentially about the zoning of this property. In your opinion, what's the zoning of the property?
So the zoning is G, general. It is a type of single-family residential zone.
And Is there a document in your exhibits that show that?
No, not in my exhibits. So the exhibit 1A does show the GIS imagery. If I simply scroll down on the parcel information on the left-hand side, it would show that. I can show that now, if that's acceptable.
You're able to click that link and pull it up?
I can. I'll pull it up in a moment and share my screen. I'll need to join the hearing for my laptop first, sir. Eric, can you make sure I'm completely muted when I do? Yes.
Hey, can one of you guys pull up your general use on Arizona? Someone pull up general use. He's claiming it's single family residential. I've already done that research.
You got 1%. They're in charge.
I do it afterward. I dispute that.
No problem. That's not charging.
We would have never even bought the property if that was true.
And once we show the zoning for the parcel, Mr. Brown, we can also show the relevant section of the county zoning ordinance describing the use on the parcel as residential. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Mr. Brown, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. This is the parcel. You'll note up here, the parcel reference as it corresponds to exhibit 1A, as well as the parcel owner. This is the fastest and simplest way to show you this. You'll note the zoning is G general 10-acre minimum. Do you have any questions about the zoning before I switch over to the zoning ordinance?
Well, I'm just curious. It also shows these permits. What is that reference to?
The not submitted permits are in reference to a permit that was initiated. One is a pre-application permit. It was never submitted. Another is a reference number for a permit I'm not aware of. Again, these were never submitted to the county. So that means someone logged into the county's permit portal, started typing something in and never submitted. PZAZ 25051 was submitted. In my testimony, I referenced a 120-day RV permit that was incomplete and returned for corrections and wasn't paid for. That is that permit.
Okay, gotcha. All right, yes, please pull up the other page that you were referring to.
Okay, we're going to refer to the county's zoning ordinance here. Please note this is the county's current zoning ordinance, effective date 20 June 2024. We are going to go down to single family residential zones. So we're going to go up here and so G general zones are grouped with agricultural residential and rural residential zones. This zone is a residential land use category intended to accommodate a rural lifestyle. The range of densities from 10 to 40 acre ranchettes and agricultural land uses related to rural living. Only those. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Mr. Stento. Go ahead, Mr. Stento.
Only those uses are permitted that are complementary and compatible with the rural environment. Here we see performance standards for general agricultural and residential zones, just like other residential zones in Coconino County. So one item of note here, the use of mobile homes, manufactured homes, semi-trailers, railroad cars, travel trailers, camper shells, or similar units as accessory structures is prohibited. We have other use tables that will reinforce the occupancy of RVs on here, including temporary uses, if you want me to go that far into it. Mr. Brown, I certainly can.
No, that's okay. That's my job to reference those and figure that out. Let me ask you another question, Mr. Stento. The photographs in Exhibit 7, all of those, 7A through whatever it was, did you take those?
I took several of them. Yes. So, excuse me. No, I did not. The photos I took on 8 July were not admitted into we're not part of our exhibits. The 2 June photos. Let me see if that was me or Mr. Cole. Based on our case notes, the 2 June photos were Code Enforcement Officer John Cole.
So give me reference numbers to exhibit reference numbers.
I'm sorry, that's Exhibit 7E and 7F.
7E and 7F were by John Cole.
That's correct. Code Enforcement Officer John Cole. Exhibit 7D, May 14, was also by Mr. Cole. 20 April was also by Mr. Cole.
Which one is that?
I'm sorry, sir. That's 7C, 7B, and 7A.
7A, B, C, D, E, and F are all John Cole.
That's correct. And 7G as well.
Okay.
That sounds like every one of the ones from the time.
Do you have any other testimony, Mr. Stento?
No, that concludes the county's testimony.
Okay. Mr. Stevens, can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay. So now you have an opportunity to ask Mr. Stento questions about his testimony. That's called cross-examination.
Right.
Okay. Or you can jump right into your sworn testimony.
I'm going to start by asking a couple questions.
Okay, go right ahead, sir. And then remember, be respectful. Let him answer let him answer his question before you talk over him. Okay.
I have ADHD, so sometimes you might correct me, but I will take the correction. I promise you. So.
All right, dive right in. Go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Stento, you testified that your complaint was received via email from the Coconino County Sheriff's Office, correct?
Correct.
The initial complaint, and that complaint, who was the owner of the property at the time?
The owner of the property at the time was James C. Leonard.
Okay, and did you receive any complaints from a civilian on this property?
No.
No complaints from civilian. So at what point in time do you have on record that the Church of Common Good became the owner of the property?
I show the warranty deed granting the Church of Common Good. The property was recorded on 1 April 2025.
So 0401 of 2025. And which of your exhibits of evidence have you submitted that are post April 1, 2025? What letters and numbers would those be represented by?
Exhibits 6 through 11.
Exhibits, are you saying F6 or just 6 through 11?
Exhibits 6 through 11.
Okay. And were any of these exhibits taken by you?
The photos were not taken by me. No, I did not take any of the photos in there at all.
Okay, so have you witnessed this property in any way yourself since 0401 of 2025?
Yes, several times, including, as I stated in my testimony, 2 days ago.
Okay, so the complaints that you have on that I've heard in your testimony were of tires, stacked tires, and you called those secondhand materials, I believe is what you described those as. Is that correct?
That is correct. Also, Mr. Stevens, I did note in my testimony that we acknowledge the tires have been removed.
Well,
or at
I
least
hadn't gotten to
not
that question yet. I hadn't gotten to that question yet. Thank you so much for answering the question for me before I ask it.
Sure.
So did you observe in your last inspection, did you observe these tires at all?
I do not observe any tires, no.
Okay. So that would be okay. So now, as for the piles of lumber, you testified that you saw piles of lumber. Did you submit any pictures or images that show piles of lumber?
No, I did not. At least not within the references that I'm assuming you are referring
You
to, which is
testified.
6. I'm sorry?
You testified it. I don't know what you were testifying to. You said piles of lumber. I just want to see if you have any images of these.
If you let me finish, Mr. Stevens, I assume you were referencing exhibits 6 through 11 after the church took possession. Piles of lumber were distinctly visible in previous site visits before some cleanup occurred. I have not personally observed any piles of lumber in the site visit that I conducted 2 days ago. However, if you refer to exhibit 7B, you'll note a pile of lumber.
Okay, pile of lumber. Could that lumber happen to be railroad ties?
I honestly can't tell.
Could it happen to be railroad ties that were lining the roadway by chance?
It's clearly on the subject property. You'll note the fence in front, the RVs in the background of 7B. Clearly, just the tops are visible, but they are clearly visible. Whether that's railroad ties or other construction materials, and as far as the zoning ordinance is concerned, it's not relevant.
Oh, okay. So when the railroad ties are sitting on the other side of our fence, they're fine, but when they're on our side of the fence, they're not. I got it. So moving forward. So you also described a blue RV, and you said it was inhabited. The only blue RV on the property is I call it a church bus. We never called it an RV in our lives. It's a church bus that picks up people for congregation. It wouldn't be was it on the property the last time you went to the property?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question. Could you repeat it?
Yes, you described in your testimony that you saw in what you quoted as an inhabited a blue RV, described as the color blue, and I asked if you saw this blue RV. The last time you went to the property, you said was when?
2 days ago.
2 days ago. Did you see the blue RV there?
I did. To be clear, it is the blue striped RV depicted in Exhibit 7D, and as I stated in my testimony, I noticed what appeared to be a child going in and out of the RV, and was occupied in the immediate area of the RV performing some sort of task.
Okay, let me correct you. I'm sorry. You're talking about a green trailer. So there is a blue church bus, and now I understand what structure you're referring to as a chicken coop.
I'm
There's a
referring
chicken
to the recreational vehicle depicted in Exhibit 7D. It is a recreational vehicle.
I have not received any of these exhibits. I'm assuming you're talking about the aluminum and green, so it would be silver on top and green on the bottom. That is a chicken coop sitting right by 25 chickens.
Hold on,
I'm not
gentlemen, you're talking over each other, so I'm going to ask you to stop doing that. So,
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Stevens, Mr. Stento is referring to an RV that is white with a blue horizontal stripe from the front to the back.
Are we referring to a 1950s RV?
Yeah, it looks probably from that era.
Okay, the RV that is sitting up front.
Up in the front.
Okay, now I understand what he's referring to. I'm in my question asking, my cross examination, so I'm not even it's there. So I mean, I now I'm moving forward because I was under the impression that he was talking about another blue RV. I did not realize that her RV was blue. It was very light blue. So I do understand that's one of our board members' RVs. Okay, moving forward then. The next question. So the question is, and whether she's inhabiting it or not, I'm not really sure, but I don't think so. But moving forward, you mentioned what's called inoperable vehicles, Mr. Stento. Is that correct?
That is correct. I referenced inoperable and/or unregistered vehicles.
Okay. inoperable and or unregistered.
That's correct.
Now, you are aware that the Department of Motor Vehicles allows you to go years without registering a vehicle as long as you pay them money for non-operational status. You understand that that's something that the DMV does. Do you understand that to be true or not?
I don't think that's relevant.
Okay, you don't think it's relevant. Okay, so farm vehicles irrelevant. Okay, moving forward, which vehicles are you claiming to be inoperable and or unregistered?
Several of the vehicles that we observed in our initial site inspection, specifically
We don't have any vehicles.
Hold on,
vehicles.
Mr. Stevens, you asked him a question. You got to give him a chance to answer it in fairness.
Okay, can you be specific though, please?
Go ahead, Mr. Stenta.
Sorry. Several of the vehicles observed during our initial inspection, when we accessed the property and examined the vehicles, were still visible recently. We can see the top, actually, I don't have my photos here. See if I can reference several of these vehicles. So moving right to the current ownership, we can see in Exhibit 7E what appears to be a dilapidated RV with a truck to the rear of it that does not appear operable, doesn't appear to even have wheels. On the initial site visit on 5 November, we documented a recreational vehicle and a SUV that clearly did not have even Arizona tags in Exhibit 1D. I personally observed the top of this vehicle from the BNSF frontage road performing an inspection 2 days ago. It appeared that vehicle was still on the property as well. So we believe there are at least a few inoperable vehicles on the property. In Exhibit 7G, we are not alleging these vehicles are necessarily inoperable, but we'll note a makeshift wooden structure with items somewhat strewn about it next to an RV as well. There are small miscellaneous secondhand materials simply scattered around the property. We do acknowledge Mr. Stevens did remove the tires, but there is still quite a bit of material on the property.
That's very unspecific. So at the beginning of your answer said that initially, when you say initial inspection, it sounds like you're talking about an inspection that happened prior to the ownership of Church of Common Good owning the property at all. I would hope that you would stop referring to times that we don't own the property, because I think that's irrelevant. And I keep trying to get back to, I can't understand your
Mr.
testimony
Stevens.
or your, yes.
So Mr. Stento answered that currently he believes that the inoperable and or unregistered vehicles are the white RV and truck shown in Exhibit 7E, as well as a vehicle that was seen a long time ago shown in Exhibit 1D, but which is still there. He observed it 2 days ago.
But we don't know which vehicle that is because I don't have the evidence pictures in front of me. The white RV and truck he's claiming to be inoperable is not accurate.
Well, you can
Not
testify.
Not only are they operable, but they're also rehab. They're brand new inside. They're completely remodeled.
Go right ahead with your questions.
Okay. The question. Okay. The next question was, so the inops. You described when you were asked to give a more descriptive of what general G zoning was, you referred to the general use description of a parcel, and in that description, you claimed, or you were reading that these refers to 10 to 20 acre ranchettes. Is that correct?
That's part of the definition of a general residential zone under section 2.2A. I read it verbatim out of the zoning ordinance.
I think it's
Okay.
10 to 40 acre ranchettes, isn't it?
I thought
The
it was 20.
actual
Go ahead.
language I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Mr. Stenta.
The actual zoning ordinance reads, this zone is a residential land use category intended to accommodate a rural lifestyle with a range of densities from 10 to 40 acre ranchettes and agricultural land uses related to rural living.
Thank you for that correction. 10 to 40 acres. And you are aware that the property size of the parcel we're discussing is 56.6 acres, correct?
I am, yes.
Okay. So, and you said it was to accommodate a rural lifestyle? That's what I heard you say?
Again, that's what I read out of the zoning.
Oh, okay. And that includes agricultural and residential, right? Is that how I heard you read it?
Yes.
Okay. And it has something else. It's agricultural, rural, agricultural, residential, and there's another word. What was that other word in there?
Rural living, is that what you're referring to?
You read it. It was you just read it again. It said it's for rural, residential, agricultural, and there's a comma in there with another word, and we're missing here. What was that last word?
I'll read it to you again. This zone is a residential land use category intended to accommodate a rural lifestyle with a range of densities from 10 to 40 acre ranchettes and agricultural land uses related to rural living. Only those uses are permitted that are complementary and compatible with the rural environment.
Okay. So the last part was all. What was that? The very last part, the last sentence.
I'm sorry?
That very last sentence that you said, what does it say again?
I'll read it to you, but I want to reiterate the zoning ordinance, the well-established legal document.
Hold on. I can't. It's hard, man. Can you read the last sentence that you just read?
Hold on, Mr. Stevens. Mr. Stevens.
Well, he didn't answer my question. He went into a monologue.
Hold on. Mr. Stento, just read the last sentence there.
Only those uses are permitted that are complementary and compatible with the rural environment.
Okay. So then I believe, so I'll make sure I got all the questions I had. The date of the church took ownership. Did you by chance file a hearing or a complaint for a hearing with JMC Land prior to the ownership of the Church of Common Good owning the property?
We did.
You testified to that. Now, did you speak with myself, Andrew Stevens, when that was going on? Did I call in and speak with you?
We spoke several times while JMC Land was still the owner.
Awesome. And during one of those conversations, I believe that I wanted to attend the hearing against JMC Land. Do you recall that conversation?
Our conversations were a little bit heated, Mr. Stevens. I do not.
That conversation, I did not find them heated, but that's how you saw them. I asked you if I could attend that hearing because we had a land contract for that land, and so we had interest in the land. And you don't recall your response to me at that time, by chance?
I do not recall those conversation specifics. No, I don't.
Okay.
No hearing was held with JMC Land, Mr. Stevens. You understand that, right?
Your response to me was that I'm not on the paperwork, so you have nothing to talk to me about. That was your response. So, but moving forward, so that concludes my questions. Now I'd like to move into my testimony.
Okay, very good. Please raise. I can't see you, so I'm going to trust that you're going to raise your right hand.
I'm a pastor. I don't lie.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the testimony that you are about to give in this hearing?
So help me God, I do.
All right. Please proceed with your testimony.
So this issue was brought up from Mr. Sento's testimony because a public servant was called to the land for a welfare check on an 80-year-old mother of one of our board members who was sent to the land because of robberies, vandalism, squatting, and various other activities that were damaging the land, and it needed to be washed over. So he went over to the land, took his mother with him, had everything to have a good place there. And on the road, it consumed those things. His trailer wasn't made for the road. It was made for sitting still in Florida. all these things that he happened. So he got here, he didn't have the things that he got to this land. He did not have the things that he left with. That's an unfortunate event that has nothing to do with the Coconino Code Enforcement. It happened with Andrew. So Andrew had several structures which are there for this exact purpose, to store our pantry for our food services, to store our materials for the building, the roadways, the walkways, the Zen garden, the various things that we have for our spiritual retreat. There's various, and none of those things need a building permit. They are landscape features. When our ministry is done by traveling America, speaking with people in Walmart parking lots that may have or had drug problems, may have been experiencing homelessness, may have been experiencing ostracization from their families. They may have all kinds of different things. That's who reaches out to the church. This is a segment of society that has been missed throughout the years. In the body of Christ, I had the calling to go and attend to these lost sheep, and that's what the Good Shepherd would do. So in the spirit of how do we get these people to congregate when they live in vans, cars, RVs, trailers, whatever they happen to live in, and because of housing problems in America, how do we get them to congregate and talk about God? How do we get them to worship? How do we get them baptized? How do we get them to hear the word of God, which is a mandate by Matthew 24:14. So the mandate by my Messiah, and that's a very deep doctrine. And there are several other mandates. In all the Gospels, Jesus tells his disciples several things. The Son of Man hath no place to lay his head. Even the foxes have holes. But he says, follow me. Peter says, I will turn back and I'm going to plow the fields. He said, once you've had your hand on a plow and you turn away from it, you no longer are worthy of the kingdom of God. You follow me. He was a very dictated mandate that we feed the hungry, we clothe the naked, we heal the sick, we visit the incarcerated. These are our commandments by our God. And we moved as a people from England to this country to practice freedom of religion. And what this feels like is an attack on the way we minister at our church, the way we bring people to Christ, which is unconscionable in today's society in America. It's unconscionable. We are protected in this right by the Rural Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act. And we have been, in my opinion, this is an expedited and hasty maneuver by the code enforcement to have expectations up on us when we're in Florida at our church to clean up a property we didn't own yet. And then 2 months after we finally own the property, we're in court at a hearing talking about tires that don't exist and lumber that doesn't exist. And ultimately, the only real complaint we have here are the people's vehicles that show up to the property to congregate and worship and assemble. And then the storage vehicles we have on the property for a chicken coop, which is agricultural related, and it is part of therapy. We have, and none of them are none of them that I know of are unregistered or inoperable. Virginia, that RV he's talking about, was driven there, so it can drive away. Mm-hmm. So nothing I know of is inoperable. So that the entire testimony is based on the idea, the vision that there's a bunch of broke down RVs on a lot in the desert. Mind you, a lot you cannot even see from any parcel within the county. The only parcel within the county that you can see that lot from is Arizona Land Trust land. So there are no neighbors. We're completely invisible. So we are as rural as possible. The county's plan, the exhaustive plan for 2045, I believe it is, describes this area as a place where people want to be left alone. They have no plans for it at all. There's no water. There's no power. We are completely off grid. We live like the Amish do. We're not Amish, but we do live like that. And we want to be left alone as a religious institution of people that do not believe in the things of the Pharisees and Sadducees. We understand public health and safety, and we will not go anywhere that would cause public health and safety to be violated. So we're not doing anything that would do that, nor has there been a testimony that anything would violate public health and safety. There was a perjured testimony, or maybe it wasn't perjury. Maybe it was just word for word from an email that said that Andrew's mother was close to death,
Nope.
which was a complete fabrication. And there's a bunch of fabrication about vehicles that don't run, that do run, and are registered properly. And then he gave about maybe a half-hour testimony, 20 minutes testimony about normal activities on any ranch in America.
Yep.
A child, a 16-year-old, my teenage son, tending to the chickens as an activity we don't know what he's doing. The presentation he's making is egregious, discriminatory. Just across the street, directly across the street,
Brandon.
there's a shed and 3 RVs sitting right across the street. He sees them every time they inspect. No problems there. Because why? A government agent made a report that was fabricated and defamatory, and that we dealt with next, that led to you as a government agent coming to a place that you've never seen before in your life, I assume, and messing with a church that wants you to leave them alone. That is the end of my testimony.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stevens. I appreciate your testimony. It is helpful. Let me ask you a couple of questions, okay? I just want to clarify some of the things that you said.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's your position that none of the vehicles out there are inoperable?
I'm going through my mind of the vehicles that remain, because we towed the inoperable ones. There was only 2, and no, I don't. Let's see. There is Theo's truck. Could probably. I have not started it up. I don't know, but he's a mechanic, so I don't think it's inoperable. I think it's just old because he kept it for two generations.
It was his dad.
It was his uncle's and his grandpa's.
Yes.
And so it went to him, and he kept, and it runs. He tows things with it. So no, I don't believe that there are any inoperable vehicles on the property this time. No.
Okay, and are there vehicles out there that are unregistered? I know your position.
I can't. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say, I know your position that you're allowed to, but I'm just asking you, do you have any unregistered vehicles out there?
I personally do not. We have 13 board members, and I'm not 100% sure if Virginia, she's a little more incensed about what we call Babylon being involved in the church. So she might be a little more rebellious than most.
Okay.
But we are reaching out to her, and this hearing will actually help me give her more guidance on what needs to be done.
Okay. So it might prompt her a little bit.
It may, yes, because for the most part we live as far away from what we call Babylon as possible, and now we are trying to compromise in the best way possible as a church. So that's how we're looking at this. And she's the least comparable. She's the most difficult of our board members in this process. So forgive me for that, or we would never have told her that she could even park up there. But regardless, moving forward, go ahead.
I got you. Now you referenced a chicken coop. Is that the what I would refer to as like it almost looks like it looks like an RV. It's a travel trailer. It's white on top and maybe green on the bottom half of it.
I think one side might have been painted white at one time. Okay, so you're seeing a side that is painted white. On the other side, it's silver. So yes, I think we're referring to the exact same trailer. It should be sitting directly opposite the what we call it, the church command center, which is the church command center has some railroad ties attached to it, and it has like the water tank there and the things that are necessary in order to build, for people to build the roads out there. So it's got all the kitchen and all that at it. But it's all contained into a trailer. Directly opposite that is a trailer that sits beside 2 chicken coops, and it's got a chicken butchery part in one half of it and the incubation part in the other half.
Okay. And do you actually keep chickens out there?
100%, yes.
You're using that as a food supply?
Yes. Yeah. It's a supplemental food supply, but we do not believe in taking gold, copper, silver, or even 2 pair of tunics when you're ministering for, and this is also scriptural. We take that quite literally, which sometimes runs into a problem, it sounds like, because of the fact that we don't use what we call Babylon money in order to exist.
Okay, gotcha.
And
Gotcha.
and that might be where some of these headbutting problems come in because in our doctrines that way.
Is
Um,
is anyone living out there on the land, Mr. Stevens?
no one should be living full time out there. So we going forth. We have a big area there. They were building a revival area. So there are times in our country where nomads travel on the I-40. And what we were looking for the property for them to stop and have a revival once or twice a year.
Okay.
The things that are there right this second that was now Andrew's with us in California doing a revival mission, so he's not there. AJ, who referred to as AJ, is Andrew. We're both named Andrew, so that's why he's AJ. The Virginia has been going to and from our church in California and then our church in New Mexico. We have parcels like this across the country, but she's been going to each one of these parcels, so she's not there even close to half of a year or even months. But we have tried to keep somebody, at least one person, on property because there was a very large amount of refuse that had to be cleaned up from what appeared to be squatters. And some of the complaints that Mark Stinto made early on before we actually owned the property, but I knew about them because he told me about them, were like doors being broken open of the storage trailers, things like that. So we sent AJ out there to serve as a protection at that time. And so that we always keep one person on the property at a time. Right now, it's my wife and my son.
Okay. Gotcha.
And she is a statutory agent he keeps saying he can't find.
So that's your wife?
Yes, my wife is a statutory agent of the church. I was ordained in 2002. Well, no, I finished seminary in 2002. I was
That's
ordained.
Okay. I don't need to know that. That's okay. I don't need to
got
know
it. Yes,
that.
that's my wife. Correct.
Okay.
I'm sorry. We're not married by law. You
Okay.
are a law person. You are a legal person. We do not go to Babylon and get married.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay. Mr. Stento, do you have any cross-examination for Mr. Stevens?
Just a couple questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Stevens, you mentioned the chicken coop, serving as a food source. Is that to serve as a food source for when folks are staying on the property, perhaps transiently? Maybe some folks come to the property to stay a while. They
No.
use that as a food. I'm sorry.
I can answer your question already, unless you want to keep on reiterating. But no, it's a food source for dog food.
It's just for dog food.
Correct.
So, and you mentioned your congregation using the property, coming in and out of the property. Whenever that occurs, do they stay out there for transient periods of time, days, weeks, months?
The rules, the bylaws of the church are still in review. What we have so far is that if someone needs to come out, they're allowed to stay at a +1 guest for up to 2 weeks, and then they have to move on. They're supposed to have all the things they need. I will say that we have allowed some people to stay those 2 weeks without having what they needed, but we have become more strict on that recently.
Has anyone stayed in such a manner since you took possession of the property, even for a night?
Has anyone stayed on the property overnight since I took possession of the property? Is that the question?
Which would be since April 1st of this year.
Has anyone stayed overnight on the property since the church took possession? Am I understanding the question right?
Yes, in any RV structure, tent, in any way at all.
Oh, yes. Yes. There have been someone every night, at least one person watching over the property, as well as cameras. Yes.
And to be clear, Mr. Brown, no permits have been issued that would allow any such occupancy, nor any such permits possible for that type of use. I don't have any more questions.
Since he brought that up, I need to reply to that last comment, if that's okay.
What's your reply, Mr. Stevens?
Is about the permitting. I personally, myself and Michelle went on to do a permit. We saw that there's an agreement in there that says that we would do things that we would not agree to doing, and I'm not a liar, so your permitting process cannot make me a liar. And so we then saw there was a fee attached to it, and as I stated earlier, the church does not agree with Babylonian mixing. We don't have dollar bills. That's stuff that has like presidents on it, and we don't participate in that part of society. So requesting $120 from a church and then having them assigned to an agreement that says it will remove the pantry, the chicken coop, the things that the church needs in order to create a spiritual retreat would be a lie, and I will not lie.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. That concludes the testimony, including the examination and the cross-examination. So you'll each have an opportunity now to give a closing argument if you'd like. Again, the closing argument is not evidence. It's just an opportunity for you to summarize what you think you proved through your evidence today. Mr. Stento, would you like to make a closing argument?
I would.
Go right ahead.
Coconino County's primary concern with the use on the parcel is the health and safety issues created by the transient occupancy that we've observed occurring on the property, to include folks living in improvised structures, recreational vehicles, and travel trailers. To be clear, the only way to lawfully occupy one RV, which is the only thing you could lawfully occupy, a single RV with a permit located in a permanent location, would be through a 120-day RV permit. It would not allow the use that Mr. Stevens' organization seems to desire from this type of land. The Church of Common Good has selected a residentially zoned parcel zoned for a single family dwelling, potentially one accessory dwelling unit, or without either structure, one RV, one and one only, in a set location for up to 120 days out of the year, or one RV permanently, again, assuming vacant land, if certain conditions are met, including lawful wastewater disposal. The church's use appears to be for what the county would describe as a recreational vehicle resort. Now, I understand the church's intent is not a quote unquote resort, but from a standpoint of the definition of the use as applied to the zoning ordinance, it most closely resembles a commercial use, a recreational vehicle resort. The Church of Common Good, quite frankly, if that's their use, needs to seek another type of zoning where they may be able to pursue that. However, even there would be development standards. There would be other legal restrictions on the property that might prevent this kind of use. The county would certainly be willing to engage with the Church of Common Good regarding a discussion of zoning that might, at least in part, be more useful for their purposes. But it's important to understand that I think there's a difference in perspective between what the county will permit and in terms of land use and what the church's expectation actually is. The county concludes its closing statement.
Thank you, Mr. Stento. Mr. Stevens, would you like to give a closing statement?
I would.
Okay, please go right ahead.
To begin with, Jesus was a transient. I'm not sure if everyone believes the same things we do, but Jesus was a transient. So the use of the word transient and then applying that to having health concerns simply because there's a transient is a boring and very anti-doctrine to us. So secondly, what the Church of Common Good has done here is provided a place for us to reach people who are not being reached by the church, who's not even being reached by the body of Christ. It is a place that's in general zoned, and at no point in time has Mark Stento presented any evidence that suggests that as for residential use. He quoted a statute or code that describes 10 to 40 acre ranchettes, none of which apply. That's a minimum and maximum. Those don't apply to the parcel at all. And And thirdly, there's a master plan that's been submitted, a comprehensive plan by the county of Coconino that clearly labels that area as that they have no plans for it whatsoever. So the idea that the county is opposed to the church using that land as it's being used, I think that we can limit that to Mark Stento himself and not the county. I know he's employed to speak for the county, but I don't believe that the county has any intentions for the land. So presenting an argument of health and safety problems would require some type of testimony that describes health and safety issues, public health and safety, and they must be very clear public health and safety according to the Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act, which is what we're leaning on in this case, that protects our use of our land to gather to worship our God our way. And that is what we stand by. I think Mark has now reiterated false statements in multiple different ways and presented a case that is leaning on a code that has to do with residential areas and leaning on generalizing our property as residential when it is not residential. And I don't believe that it holds any water. I just think he used a lot of words that were basically defamatory. But we'll find that out at a later time too. I conclude my testimony.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stevens. Mr. Stevens, you referred to was it the Rural Land Use and Institutional Property Act?
Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act.
An Institutionalized Persons Act. Okay. Yeah,
it's all glumbled together, but it protects the use of our personal property, our church's property for gathering and worshiping, and pretty. And yes, we have to follow codes when they have to do with public safety and public health. Absolutely, but he has not presented any argument that argues, in my opinion, a public safety issue.
Okay. Well, thank you. You both did an excellent job of representing and presenting your cases. I really do appreciate the orderly presentation of evidence, so thank you. I'm not going to rule right now. I need to think about some of the issues, and so I'm going to take this matter under advisement, and I will issue a written ruling as soon as possible. That written ruling will be served on you, Mr. Stevens, or on a representative of your church, and so please accept it when it comes to you, okay? Because there may be important information in there for you and the church.
Very good.
Okay.
And
thank you.
If Mark Stento would like to have any conversation with us on how we can move forward in a manner that is okay with both the church and the county and respects our rights, as well as makes the county happy, I'm happy to entertain any way forward.
Well, I certainly invite a respectful dialogue between the two of you, and if that happens before I issue an order, Mr. Stento, please let me know. Okay, that concludes our hearing. Thank you very much. We can sign off.
Thank you.
Are we clear?